नहमदुहु व नसल्ली अला रसूलिहिल करीम अम्मा बाद अऊज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम. We're going to start now the second session of this evening with ayat number 258 from Surah Al-Baqarah, and this is an ayat which is talking about Ibrahim alayhi salam, and we're going to just look at this during the time as to what this whole story is all about. And we'll look at this ayat 258 and then move forward from here. So, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alam tara illa allazi hajja Ibrahim fi rabbihi an atahu Allahul mulka. Is qala Ibrahim rabbi allazi yuhyi wa yumitu qala ana uhyi wa umit. Qala Ibrahim fa inna Allah yati bi shamsi min al mashriqi fati biha min al maghribi. فَبُهِتَ الَّذِي كَفَرَ وَاللَّهُ لَا يَهْدِي الْقَوْمَ الظَّالِمِينَ. Sadaqallahu al-Azim. As this ayat goes to state, have you reflected upon him who disputed with Ibrahim about his Rabb? Because Allah had given him the kingdom. When Ibrahim said, my Rabb is the one who gives life and causes death, he said, I give life and cause death. And Ibrahim said, surely Allah causes the sun to rise from the east, make it rise from the west, and thus he was confounded who rejected faith, and Allah does not guide the unjust people. So this is a story during the time of Ibrahim alayhi salam, referring to salam in his court, and he disputed with Ibrahim alayhi salam about the Rabb. And Ibrahim alayhi salam first said that my Rabb is one who causes life and death, and so therefore this king called one of his slave and he put him to death, and he says, I can also put people to death. And Ibrahim alayhi salam realized that this man is really not beyond reason. So Ibrahim alayhi salam said to him, my Rabb is the one who causes the sun to come out from the east, so make it rise from the west. And this person. Now, who was this king? Where was this kingdom? What happened? What is the timelines of that? So let's just sort of spend a few minutes. I'm not going to go into detailed presentation this evening. We will do a presentation of Ibrahim alayhi salam, his life and his journey. Well, he lived in this city which is called the city of Ur, which is located over here. And this is the city that you see on the bank of this two rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates River. In between the Tigris and the Euphrates River is the city, which is the city of Ur. This is where Ibrahim alayhi salam was born. He lived in this city. His father was the chief priest in the temple over there. And Ibrahim alayhi salam was a person who was born with a very keen sense of observation. He observed and he recognized that these deities that are there in the temple, they have no power. They have no power. And so therefore he goes through the process of recognizing that there is a creator by looking at the star and the moon, etc. And so that's the whole story that is over there. Now this is how the city of Ur would be looking like at that time. The temple would be like this, which is it was in Babylon. This was the most civilized place of that time. This is the really most civilized place, and this is how the city of Ur or Babylon would have been at the time of Ibrahim alayhi salam. The kind of a model that they have prepared for a temple, which would be the main temple in that area, where all these idols had been kept and where people would go for worship. And like I said, Ibrahim alayhi salam, his father, was the chief priest of this temple. But the fact is that he had a son who recognized that this is all falsehood that is there. These are part of the actual engravings in that area of Mesopotamia which were discovered, which show the king that was there at that time, the powerful king that had been living in that time from the wall. And this is one of also a small engraving on a piece of stone, which again is an indicator of the kind of civilization that was existing in the valley of Ur or in the Babylonian Empire at that time. This was the king who was at that time, perhaps the time of Ibrahim alayhi salam. This was a kind of his features and face. You can see that from his features that he how they would be dressing up and how they would be looking. So with this, let's just come on to this ayat. Have you reflected upon him who disputed with Ibrahim about his Rabb? Because Allah had given him kingdom. So yes, Allah had given him power and made him a king of that time. But the ruler of Babylon, which is this whole empire of Babylon, he was not willing to see any guidance. He was not willing to accept that the gods that we have in our temple, they have no power, and there is one single creator. He was not willing to see any guidance. And the reason for this is because power corrupts. When people have too much power, and absolute power corrupts absolutely, as they say. So this was a man who could put people to death without any reason. He was the most powerful person that was existing at that time, and he considered himself to be above any authority, including the authority of Allah. So Allah says that I had given him this power. You see, have you reflected upon him who disputed with Ibrahim about his Rabb? Because Allah had given him the kingdom. He wasn't born with that. It was Allah who had given him, and Allah had given him limited power. But this limited power he has actually abused and misused by being unjust to his people. Now, the proof of Allah's existence is really in his creation. In many of the creations that we see around, this is a proof that Allah exists. By looking at the creations, we can actually come close to Allah. Look at the complex life that we have as human beings. Even the simplest cell that we have is so complex. The way our body grows, the way our DNAs are organized, the way we can speak, the way we interact, and all the creatures that are around, this really shows that there is some rule that is there. So who is the creator of that rule? Who is the creator of this law? Like we say, gravity is there. If I were to pick this up and throw this down, this will fall down and it probably will break. So I can cause it to break, but who created gravity? It's the Rabb who actually created this gravity. The law of gravity was created by the Creator, and I think this is where we need to recognize the proof of creation of Allah is by looking at His own creation. This is where we will be able to see that. Now, when Ibrahim alayhi salam first said to him that my Rabb is the one who gives life and causes death, what the king, as I said earlier, did was that he called a slave and he put him to death, and he said, see, I can also cause death. But the fact is, he cannot create life. Once you cause death, you cannot actually make it rise again. You cannot give it back the life that was there. Or you cannot create a man out of nothing. So this is something that he didn't really realize, that yes, he had certain degree of freedom, but it was only a limited freedom that Allah had given to him. Now, this is the attitude we often find in people whom Allah gives blessings. When Allah gives blessing to people, they begin to think that these blessings are my own work. It's my planning, it's my anticipation, it's my execution, because of which I have become so rich and I have become so powerful. I took the right decisions. This I that comes in, it's not my Rabb. They begin to think the moment that people become successful, one of the bad quality that comes in, they begin to believe that we are the people because we are better than everyone else, and as a result, because of this, we have been able to get what we have been able to get. Not realizing there will be a vast number of people who will be far better than them. But the fact is that Allah chose them and gave them in order to test them. So this attitude of pride and ego normally comes into people who are blessed by Allah, who have power, who have position, and who have wealth. They are the kind of people who would be displaying this. They do not recognize that the blessings that they have are the blessings that have been given to them by Allah. And Allah, like He gives blessings, sometimes He takes away blessings also. And the fact is that no matter what blessings Allah has given to anyone, it is only for a very short period of time. The moment a person goes in his grave, he doesn't take anything from this world. He came here alone and he goes back alone with nothing on him. So that's why that is what people, they are left over here. The owner of everything that people have, the ultimate owner of everything is Allah. Now, أَوْ كَالَّذِي مَرَّ عَلَىٰ قَرْيَةٍ وَهِيَ خَاوِيَةٌ عَلَىٰ عُرُوشِهَا قَالَ أَنَّ يُحْيِي هَٰذِهِ اللَّهُ بَعْدَ مَوْتِهَا فَأَمَتَهُ اللَّهُ مِائَةَ عَامٍ ثُمَّ بَعَثَهُ قال كم لبست؟ قال لبست يوما أو بعد يوم قال بل لبست 100 عام فانظر إلى طعامك وشرابك لم يتسنى وانظر إلى حمارك ولنجعلك آية للناس وانظر إلى العظام كيف ننشزها ثم نكسوها لحما فلما تبين له قال أعلم أن الله على كل شيء قدير. This is the next ayat, which is ayat number 259, rather a long ayat, and this is about a messenger, about a prophet of Allah, who was passing through. Jerusalem, where the Jews used to be, it was destroyed by a person called Nebuchadnezzar, and all the Jews were thrown out from there. And so therefore, Jews had moved out of Jerusalem. This whole city had been burnt and completely destroyed. Completely destroyed. 50 years had passed. The city had seen no life. Ultimate destruction of the city. Then Uzair alayhi salam, who was a messenger sent to Bani Israel, while these people were in Babylon, they moved away from Jerusalem into Babylon. He was sent back by Allah back to Jerusalem, and at that time there was this Persian king. His name was Zulqarnain. He gave freedom to Bani Israel after 50 years of captivity to come back into Jerusalem. So Prophet Uzair, he came back, and when he passed this city, he passed this city and he saw this city was completely destroyed. The thought came upon his mind, how can Allah actually revive this city back? It's been dead for now, it's finished, it's gone. I mean, it's just death and destruction, nothing more than that. So this is what it said, or like of him who passed by the town when it had fallen down upon its roof, and he exclaimed and he said, how can Allah give life to it after its death? So Allah caused him to die for 100 years. This is the power of Allah. He caused him to die for 100 years and then raised him up to life and asked him, how long have you lain here? So imagine a person who's just thinking, this is the end. Khalas, game, set, match, this is it. How can this ever life come back? And then Allah caused him to die for 100 years and then raised him up and asked him this question, how long have you lain over here? And he answered, I may have been here for a day or a part of a day. It's just about a day past. When we come out of our graves, that's exactly the kind of feeling that we will have. Allah will ask people, how long were you there in the world? And people will say, maybe a day or maybe a little more than a day. Our entire life of 70 years, 80 years, 90 years, it's passes so quickly, so swiftly. Wal asr, innal insana lafi khusr. I swear by time, man is at a loss. Imagine I'm now old. A lot of people are old. A lot of you are young. I remember the time when I was young and I was getting married and I had children, and it seemed like it was yesterday. Honestly, it doesn't seem like 40 years and 50 years have passed. It doesn't seem that long. But that's how quickly life passes away. Suddenly you realize you're just now old. I mean, all that youngness has gone away. Anyway, the same thing happened with Uzair alayhi salam, and he died, and then Allah raised him up and asked him, how long have you been here? And he said, I may have been here for a day or a part of a day. And then he said, which means Allah said, you have been lying in this state for 100 years. Now look towards your food and drink, they have not spoiled. Not only Allah preserved him, but Allah also preserved the food and drink that were lying with him. It would have, by 100 years, it would have been finished by all the insects, and it would have completely degraded, but his food was there, fresh, his drink was there. And then he said, look, and look towards your donkey. The donkey died 100 years ago, and we will make him a sign for people to look towards the bones. So he saw the donkey was there, only the bones were there. Nothing was there because 100 years, everything had gone away. How we set forth them together and then clothed them with flesh. So when it became clear to him, he said, I know that Allah has power over all things. So this is almost like the training of a messenger, how Allah brings faith into them, how Allah trains the messenger by showing miracles to him. Said 100 years any life would have ceased to exist, but for Uzair alayhi salam, Allah was actually just training him to show that there is another life after this life also. That you can be in your grave for hundreds and hundreds and thousands of years, and then Allah can make you rise up and make you a human being again. This is in the power of, in the hands of Allah. When Allah could create us out of nothing, what were we 60 years ago? What were you 50 years ago? Imagine, a lot of you are 20s and 30s. So if I were to ask you, what were you 50 years ago, for someone who is 20 or 30, he said, I don't know what I was. I was nothing. I was non-existent. And today, look, you are an able-bodied, young, handsome person. And what will you be after 100 years? You'll be nothing. You'll be like dust which the wind scattered from here and there. But this is the power of Allah. Then He can gather everyone together on the day of judgment and make everyone rise from his grave. Allah can give life the first time. One who can give life the first time can always give life the second time. Why do we actually dispute that Allah cannot raise us after our death? Didn't He raise us the first time out of nothing? When He can raise up us out of nothing, the first time, He can surely raise us the second time. It's not easier to do a thing second time than the first time. And if you can do it first time, you can always do it second time also. So this is a part of a training. So this let's look at this ayat. أَوْ كَالَّذِي مَرَّ عَلَىٰ قَرْيَةٍ وَهِيَ خَاوِيَةٌ عَلَىٰ عُرُوشِهَا, or the like of him who passed by a town and it had fallen down upon the roof. And he explained, how can Allah give life after this death? So often man is in despair. And especially when we see downfall of people, of cities and civilization, we begin to believe, Muslims, khalas, they are garbage. They will never rise up again. These people, we can never beat the West. Now West is so advanced, it's so powerful, so rich. And look at us. No, this is in the will of Allah. Allah can cause downfall of people, Allah can cause downfall of cities, Allah can cause downfall of nations, and Allah can make them rise up again also. This is in the power of Allah. This is something that we have. Allah can give fresh lease of life to anything, anyone that He wants to. I think this is that we hear. فَأَمَتَهُ اللَّهُ مِيَةَ عَامٍ ثُمَّ بَعَثَهُ. So Allah caused him to die for 100 years and then raised him to life and asked him, how long have you lain here? And he answered, I may have been here for a day or a part of a day. This is in a nutshell what life and death and life is. He was alive, he died, and then he was alive again. Similar will be man's response when he will be questioned on the day of judgment. When he will rise from the grave, and on the day of judgment he will be questioned, how long have you been there? He'd say maybe a day or a part of a day, no longer than that. He said, you have been lying in this state for 100 years, and now look towards your food and drink, and they have not spoiled, and look towards your donkey, and we will make you a sign for people, and look towards the bones, and how we set them and then clothe them with flesh. So Allah can selectively suspend the physical laws. When Allah wants, He suspends a physical law. Like in this story, the laws were suspended on the food and drink, but not on the donkey. The donkey died, it was all the bones and were visible, all the flesh was gone, and that is Allah said, look how I clothed the donkey with all the flesh and everything. Now it's gone, it's finished, but the food is still fresh. So this is the way, this is a miracle. This is how, because everything is in the power of Allah. If Allah wants to stop the decay, people will not decay. When He causes the decay takes place. Laws are not dependent on the Creator. Laws are dependent on the Creator. The Creator is not dependent on them. The Creator, Allah, is not under any law. The laws are under Allah. I think this is something that we need to be firm in our mind. That every law that is there, the Creator of that law is Allah. And the laws depend on the Creator. If Allah wants, He can suspend the law. The laws cannot suspend Allah, na'uzubillah. That cannot take place. This is really the model, and this is how miracles take place. And we will make you a sign for people and look towards the bone, and we set them and clothe them. So when it becomes clear to him, he said, I know Allah has power of all things. So since prophets have this immense responsibility of guiding nations, so therefore to strengthen their belief, Allah shows them glimpses of His vast attributes. So this is a clear miracle shown to Uzair. And imagine the faith of Uzair alayhi salam after this. Would he ever dispute Allah? Would he ever disobey Allah? How could he? How could he? Because he has witnessed a manifest miracle on his own self. وَإِذْ قَالَ إِبْرَاهِيمُ, next ayat, which is ayat number 260. وَإِذْ قَالَ إِبْرَاهِيمُ رَبِّ أَرِنِي كَيْفَ تُحْيِي الْمَوْتَى قَالَ أَوَلَمْ تُؤْمِنْ. And remember when Ibrahim said, my Rabb, show me how you give life to life to the dead. So Ibrahim is inquisitive. That's the nature of Ibrahim alayhi salam. He's very inquisitive. He wants to learn. He wants to know. So he's asking Allah. And remember when Ibrahim said, my Rabb, show me how you give life to the dead. Qala bala, he said, Qala awalam tu'min, and he said, do you not believe? Allah said to him, Is there any shak that I can give? You know, and you can imagine this coming from Allah, you'll be frightened. Qala bala walakin liyatma inna qalbi, but he said, in order that my heart be at ease. You know, he just wants that his heart to be at ease. He's not questioning Allah, but he wants to learn. It's that inquisitive nature. Qala bala walakin liyatma inna qalbi qala fakhuz arba'atan min at-tayr fasurhunna ilayka summa ij'al ala kulli jabalin minhunna juz'an thumma duhunna yatinaka saya wa'lamu anna Allaha azizun hakim. And he said, take 4 birds and then train them to follow you, and then put a portion of them on each hill, and then call them, and they will come in haste to you, and know that Allah is mighty and wise. Now, Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam is asking Allah, how do you go about doing it? I mean, he's really asking the process of it. He's more inquisitive, because people have this inner and hidden, they want to know about the secrets of life. People are not shown the hidden secret, because this is where the test is. Today we cannot understand this life and death. If this was there, if all these miracles were shown, all of us would be the greatest moments of our time. None of us would ever think of doing anything, which is because we would have seen this miracle. But the reason why these miracles are not shown to us is because Allah is testing us, that by the abilities that Allah has given, can we discover the truth or not? By using this ability of reasoning. Remember, reasoning is one of the most powerful faculty that has been given to human beings. It is through this reasoning that mankind has advanced from a bare animal level to the kind of level that we exist on today. Look at the discoveries that are there around us, just in this room. From the air conditioning, to the lighting, to the food, to the technology, and to our mobile phones, and we speak to everywhere in the world, and we see people. Wow. This is all reasoning that has helped us to do that. So this is if we use this reasoning to discover our Rabb, like we have discovered the properties of matter, we can actually discover Rabb through the use of our reasoning. We don't use it.